What is a scientifically proven fact you refuse to believe? That many living people have Neanderthal DNA, mostly in non-African ethnicities. My DNA is apparently more Neanderthal than 93% of the population tested to date by 23andMe. WTF? That many living people have the DNA of another non-modern species. Is that the right word? The Denisovans mostly certain Asian ethnicities. How many more non-modern species of DNA do humans carry that we just have not identified? How many others did we interbreed with? What are we? That the universe will, ultimately, freeze to death. Effectively, in a far-off future the universe will expand so much and so little activity will be taking place in it that it will, for all practical intents and purposes, be frozen. I would much rather believe that it will eventually all collapse back in on itself and condense into a single massive singularity which will, eventually, lead to a new Big Bang. That a single photon behaves as the smallest discrete unit of an electromagnetic wave. The double-slit experiment makes more sense to me if there is subphotonic potential that still behaves like a photon, but the photon doesn't exist until the quanta threshold is met. To use an ocean analogy, the photon is the wave, but the water underneath is still there, moving around, doing water stuff. I know it's true, but I still find it hard to believe that viruses are not considered living organisms. There are a lot of factors, but the two biggest ones I think are the fact that they are inert and do not use energy when not in a host, and that they cannot self-replicate without said host. Hard to believe something capable of so much death and destruction is probably not even conscious. That the speed of light can't be broken. They said flight was physically impossible with a machine. Then they said breaking the sound barrier was impossible. I just don't believe that we're right this time either. Edit, thanks everyone telling us this is scientifically proven as if we aren't aware. Something scientifically proven, yet you are skeptical of is the point of the thread. You choose what the next flip will be. Everyone would say tails. My theory is it is never 50-50, and to get a true estimate of the probability you would need to know the results of every other coin toss. Certain quantum mechanics, specifically the popular conclusion from the double-slit experiment, the assertion that particles know that they're being observed is just absurd. Also, quantum mechanics imply that there is no such thing as objective reality, and I refuse that assertion. The fucking cat is either dead or alive. It can't be both. The door number 3 conjecture. You're posed with a choice between what's behind 3 doors. Say you pick door 2. They show you what is behind door number 3. You have a choice of sticking with door number 2 or switching to door number 1. If you switch, statistically you're more likely to get the better prize. Women are born with all the eggs already in them and don't produce those through their lifetime. It is so ridiculous that I still can't believe it, even though I tell it to the others. Hope for a paper suggesting an alternative to the egg from which you were born was actually created by your grandma. That sugar doesn't make kids hyper. Directly, maybe, but sugar certainly affects insulin, and insulin changes are mood changes. Plus, anyone who has ever given a pile of Oreos to a kid or Nutella or something else knows for certain they created a live version of the cartoon Tasmanian Devil. I'm not a creationist or deny evolution, but where do platypuses fit in the evolutionary trees? Then you add in the idea that birds evolved to fly seems far-fetched. Like you're telling me an egg-laying duck that lactates milk then swims in the water evolved that way. I don't think so, buddy. The double-slit experiments and all their variations still weird me out. Who hasn't studied the necessary fundamentals? It just seems like the light particles know whether or not you're watching and would change their behavior depending on what you're expecting them to do. The whole quantum stuff blows my mind. Like, are you trying to tell me that as long as I don't look, everything happens in parallel and resolves to every possible outcome, but stabilizes as soon as I look? What? Yeah. I'm not denying it. It's just so mind-blowing. French are cowards and losers. That France is one of the most successful. Comme are today in comments 14 to still that France is one of the most successful. that faster than light travel is not possible. Part of it is my obsession with finding other life and this fact making it impossible. Another part is I feel like eventually that will become outdated, much like other models of physics. That the regulation basketball hoop is 18 inches in diameter and can almost fit NBA basketballs at the same time. I swear the hoops I play at are way smaller, and it's not because I suck at basketball. That warm water freezes quicker than cold water, although oddly, for something that you think would be simple to test. There is still debate about this. It is called the Mpemba effect. The levels of batshit crazy my kids can reach after having a marshmallow, or any junk food for that matter, makes me not believe that sugar doesn't cause hyperactivity. Anything to do with astrophysics. Like if anyone tries to tell me the universe is expanding or shrinking or full of holographic cats, or whatever, I just nope. I cannot. That biology had a liberal bias. I understand that nature prefers those who adapt, but as a slight conservative I refuse to believe reality and nature have a bias. Theory of evolution, in the sense that every being that has ever existed started from microorganisms, amoeba. I'm not saying it's God, but IDK. In a lottery, having a string of consecutive numbers, say 12,345, 6 being drawn is equally likely as a string of random numbers being drawn. Landing and reusing space rockets. Not buying all those videos until I see it with my own eyes. That dancing gymnastic robot dude. Totally fake. The Monty Hall problem. When it's explained to you properly, it makes sense. But I still refuse to believe it's not a 50-50 chance at the end. If you can name any, then unless you're an expert in that field and can present convincing evidence, you're really just an idiot. How the dot on that picture from so far away is supposed to be Earth. Isn't it more likely to be the sun? Or a bigger planet? I don't think time is inherently linear. I think of it more as a plane that we navigate in a linear way via our perception. I'm not seeing a whole lot of evidence that the Flynn effect is real. I don't think our kids are actually smarter than us. Not me. But I know a lot of people don't believe in evolution. Some people believe that Earth was made in 7 days, I think. Sailboats can go faster than the wind blows. 25-knot winds. The boat can go 30 knots with just the sail power alone. The fact that our eyes see everything upside down and back into our brain, we have to flip the crazy. That humanity's brains aren't to be trusted. And we only know that because humanity's brains have said this. Humans are made up of 70 water. Just doesn't make sense. Too many bones and muscle for such a high number. I refuse to believe a leopard moose camel with a 40-foot neck is a real animal and a horse with a horn isn't. I want to grasp it. But the fact that time and gravity are the same thing really breaks my brain. Anything concerning exercising and muscle building, because it feels like it doesn't apply to me. Maillard reaction. Sorry. No matter how long I let my food sit there, it never releases keenly. About 3/4 of education research. Because I've seen it fail time and time again in practice. While I believe it, many people don't. That masks didn't prevent the spread of COVID at all. That jet planes can fly. Come on. I've flown on them many times before. But come on, that I'm not one living entity, billions of life forms all combined to make one of me. 99 repeating is equal to 1. I still have trouble wrapping my head around that one. That folding a standard sheet of paper 42 times would, in theory, reach the moon. That you are supposed to hold your walking cane with the handle pointing forward. That fruits and vegetables do not decay faster when I'm the one paying for them. Q-tips do belong in my ears, and I refuse to believe any doctor saying otherwise. That we, as women, don't sync up with other females in regular close proximity. That a car driving over my foot would break it. Tires just look so squishy. That when your mama sits around the house, she really sits around the house. The idea that time can bend and stretch depending on gravity and velocity. Anything, most things we believe are based off of someone else's words. Black is absolutely a color. How else would there be a crayon for it? Pluto does not qualify as a planet. It'll always be a planet to me. 3. Scientifically proven that no orbits exist. But I refuse to believe that my clothes aren't shrinking in the dryer. I'm just getting fat. Our stomach acid is strong enough to even dissolve metals over time. That after a certain distance, everything falls at the same speed. There's no such thing, because I understand the scientific method. This is Reddit. Facts only matter when they support how you feel. Cold water is just as effective as warm water for washing hands. That heating raw cookie dough is dangerous. I won't accept it. That COVID vaccines are safe and effective. Nice try, Pfizer. That baby's adult teeth are under their eyes skeletal. That wrestling is fake. It's still real for me, damn it. Relativity. I just cannot make it make sense in my head. That computers work by using combinations of 0 and 1. Anti-vaxxers, flat earthers, and creationists enter. Certain types over at NFL do not believe PVNRT. Switching doors gives me a high chance of winning. Mushrooms are animals, don't tell me fucking nothing. Time dilation. Just can't wrap my head around that. That the average time to sleep is 7 minutes. Who